This conference will now be recorded.
So in the last class, we started discussing about operators. Like we discussed about arithmetic operators, we discussed about comparison operators, logical operators, and assignment operators. There are a few more which we need to be discussed in operators. Till now, any questions on this four?
I'm good, Amar.
Okay. The next concept called identity operators. Identity operators are going to help you whether the identity of two different data types or two different variables are the same or different. For an example, now you can see identity operators are nothing but special operators that are two types: identity operators and membership operators. There are two types. So today we are discussing about identity operators. These operators are used to compare the address of two different observations or two different objects, I can say. So I have one object for X and I have another object for Y. So these two objects are same or different. To identify that one, we are going to use identity operator. So how to use this identity operator means there are two options you have. Like in a logical operator, we have greater than, less than, or greater than or equal to, less than or equal to, and so on. In the same fashion, for identity operators, we have two concepts. One is, the second is not. So with the help of is and is not, I'm going to compare identity operators. So right now you have x equal to 10 and y equal to 10. The value 10 is representing to x as well as the value 10 is represented to y. Now when you see print x is y, I'm not using double equal. If I use double equal, nothing but the x value comparing with y value, but I'm not comparing the values, I'm comparing the addresses. So x is y in the sense the system is going to check the x address is equal to y address or not. Now when you use print x comma id of x, system displayed x value with address id of x. Similarly print y comma id of y, system displayed y value and y address. Now I want to see whether the both addresses for x and y are same or not. To for that, I'm going to see the identity operator called is. Print x is y. When I use x is y, system is going to be compared two different addresses are same or not. If both are same, system will return true. If both are different, system is going to return false. Generally, when you have same value, system according to so far whatever we learned, when we assign 10 to both different variables, by default you get id similar same id. When you're coming to fundamental operators, you may find this kind of similarities, but when you're coming to collection operators, collection variables, then you will not find like this. For every collection variable you will find a different address, though the value is same, but address will be different. Are clear what I'm trying to say?
Yes, Amar.
So for a fundamental point of view, it may be same, so that is the reason you are finding true. For collection variables, you may not find like this. And x double equal to y, nothing but the value same or not means the system is written as true. And x is not y, x is not y in the sense is the x value, x address or object is not equal to y in the sense system written as a false, because both addresses are same. Hope you are clear what I'm trying to say.
Yes, Amar.
Now the same example I'm going to take with a collection variable. X equal to 10, y equal to 10 is nothing but a fundamental variable, single value it got hold. But when I come to collection variables, we have a group of variables to be represented and assigning to single variable. Now you can see 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. So it's a square bracket that we call as a list variable, list data type, not a integer, not a float, not a logical. not a fundamental variable data type. So we call it as list data type. So going forward, we will discuss in detail about this one, but just for understanding purpose. Now X has some collection variables, collection of list data type. So 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50. Similarly, Y also have the same. When you see the values are same, but the address which is represented to X and the address which is represented to Y are different. Now, when you use print X comma ID of X, print Y comma ID of Y, you can see the values are coming as you expected, but the address is referring is different. Address is different. Why? In the sense, the concept which I explained to you just now, list data type is a mutable object in the sense you have an option to change the variable without changing the address. It's just like a repository. I can shuffle my variables, or I can update, I can delete, or I can append, whatever I want to do it, but the address will be the same. Is it clear?
Yes,
But
Amar.
in detail, we'll discuss in future classes. So about the list, but just for understanding purpose, when I have a fundamental data types, you may find a similar kind of address, but when I come into collection data types, there might be a chance you will find different addresses. So when for your logical control statements, there might be a chance you require to verify whether the data is coming from the same address or a different address. By seeing the data, I assume that both are coming from the same address. But when you see the ID, you can see both are different addresses. Y is representing different address, and X is referring different address. So when you say X is Y, is operator is always referring giving the comparison between address to address. So X address to Y address. So both are different. So system written as false. And X double equal to Y. X double equal to Y in the sense is trying to compare the values or a content what you have between X and Y. So both are same. So system written as true. And X is not Y. X is not Y in the sense the address of X is not equal to address of Y. So is not is nothing but we are expecting the same solution. So system is written as true. No questions, sir, or any questions?
Yeah, good, Amar.
And we have one more operator that is called numbership operator. This is the last one. So numbership operators, these operators are used to check whether an element is present in a string or not. For an example, I am getting a data from CSV file or the feedback which is received from the customers. I want to find out whether the particular element like a good or a bad, some keywords I want to be such. If I want to be such like that, I can use two different parts. One is the in, second is not in. These are two types will be help me to find out the numbership operator. For an example, x equal to Python. Python is a string. In this Python string, I want to find out letter called P. P is available or not. If the P is available, the outcome is going to be Boolean operator, either true or false. If the P is available, it will return as a true. If the P is not available, it will return as false. So print in bracket P in X. X is the string which is a Python. I'm trying to find out P is available or not. If it's available, then return as a true. If that is not available, it will return as a false. Similarly, print A not in X. So A is the letter which is not available in Python. So system return as a true. A not in X. Sorry, A in X. A in X means I am expecting A to be there in Python, but that is not available. So system return as a false. Similarly, there is a list 10, 20, 30, 40, 50. I am trying to find out whether 10 is available and Y means yes, 10 is available. So return as a true. And 70 is available? No. So return as a false. 70 not in Y. I'm upfront telling that there 70 is not there in Y. So since my condition is satisfied, so system return as true. So this is the way you can use membership operator and identity operator. Till now, what you learned are fundamental operators, fundamental data types. But is it good enough to survive in Python? Means no. Fundamental data types are basic data types which you need to be understand. And after that, we need to discuss about flow statements, control statements or flow statements, followed by collection variables. Hope you're clear.
Yeah.
Now, when we come to flow control statements or control statements, both are same, depend on the book to book which you are referring. Some people say control statements, some people say flow control statements, some people say flow statements. All are same only. So flow control statements are nothing but by default every Python statement execute only once from the top to bottom approach. That means when you click on run button, system will execute from the first line to the last line and it will stop. It will not execute or iterate the program how many times you want. It just run only one time. In order to execute the set of statements for repeated number of times, or to execute or not to execute the set of statements. For an example, I have three programs, part A program, part B program, part C program. Based on part A program, I need to decide whether to execute part B or part C. So to decide whether to be execute part A, part B or part C, I can use the flow controls. Clear what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
We go for flow control statements and we also and loops. We'll discuss about that. Now, if you observe here, these are multi-line comments. So earlier I used to use hash button. Like when you come to I used to write like this hash test. So system identify this particular line is just for commenting purpose or information purpose. It's not a part of program. But when you type three quotations, write whatever you want, multi-lines, and after completion of your multi-line, just again give three quotations. System assume that whatever you have between these three quotations, consider as a multi-line comment, and assumes that that is not a part of your program. Clear?
Yeah.
So flow control statements are divided into two parts. The first one is a condition. The second one is a block or a class. So condition are nothing but expression which returns the boolean value like a true or false. If it's a true, some block is going to be executed. If it's a false, then another block is going to be executed. So block or class is nothing but set of statements followed by some indentation. So in a Python, there is a major concept called indentation, though that is physically not available or not appear somewhere, but internally it's part of your Python inheritance. Indentation will play vital role when you especially come to control statements. For an example, if I'm coming to C++, I'll write something like this: if condition, then flower bracket, write whatever you want, then close the flower bracket. This is ever right? You'll write Java or C something. You'll give the flower brackets within the block before the starting the block and after ending the block. Again else, again open the flower bracket, write your block, then again close it. This is the ideal way what you are expecting. Am I right?
Yeah.
But when I come into Python, you don't have any flower brackets. You don't have any flower brackets here. So the structure is similarly more or same, but thing is the space what you are giving for a block and a condition is the space we call as the indentation. Generally, we are going to give four spaces for separating your main block to the sub block. If condition true, then perform this block. So this space is going to be decide whether it is a part of the program, part of the main program, or within the condition block. Just in case, if I give like this without spaces, system assume that this second line also is a main program, not a sub program from the condition. Or get it?
Yeah.
So that one we'll see in detail. So various flow statements what we have is if statement, if else statement, else if statement, while statement, for statement. These are the different type of statements, control statements we have it in Python. It's not meaning that only this, there are many more. We'll discuss step by step. So how this if statement works means it's more or similar like your Java and C only. The syntax will be if for if else, if condition, if condition is satisfied, it will nothing but a true. The statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, statement 4 will be executed. If the condition is false, then else block will be executed. Statement 5, statement 6, statement 7, and statement 8. So now if you observe here, when I give the condition, the subsequent of the condition I'm giving the colon, which is a mandatory. And to the main, so there is to the main program, to the sub block, I'm giving some space. This is called indentation. How to write it in the sense? X equal to 10, something I'm entering. If X is greater than 10, greater than or equal to 10, just syntax is colon. Colon is a mandatory. When you give the colon and press enter, system will not take you to the starting of the line. It will give some space and it will say print X value is equal or greater than 10. Else print X value less than 10. If you observe here, if and else, I'm maintaining from the first line itself, but within the if condition, which if the condition is satisfied, I want to perform some block, which is nothing but X is greater than or equal to 10. Else print another block. So this space, I don't have any flower brackets to differentiate this is going to be sub block or not within the if statement. So Python always prefer and use indentation. If I give the indentation like this, system can understand this. If I'm not going to give the indentation, for example, if I start from the first line itself, system will give an error. For an example, in this scenario, this is going to give an error because there is no sub block for if statement. You can see the syntax and indentation, intended to block, expected one, which I don't have right now. So I'm just giving 4 spaces. Now you can see the value whatever I entered is greater than or equal to 10. So what if, so based on this one, based on the return true or false, I can decide which sub block has to be executed. So this way I can write my control statements, but ensure that the indentation will play a vital role. Any questions?
Good, Amar.
Sorry. Similarly, you may require when coming to reality, it's not meaning that you need to write an if else statement. There might be a chances you're supposed to go with nested if also. In the sense, within the loop, again one more sub loop. Within the sub loop, again one more sub loop. So there might be a chance you need to write a number of code which in multiple levels of control statements you have to write. For example, the scenario will be like this: if condition is satisfied, perform statement 1, statement 2, statement 3. statement 6 and statement 7 will be executed, but statement 4 and 5 decide based on the second if condition. Getting or getting?
Yeah.
So else statement 8 or statement 9. So there might be a chance within anyway we are going to see the couple of examples just for to make you understand the syntaxes. I'm just explaining you. When you're coming to nested blocks, the nested blocks can have within the block again a subblock, within the subblock again one more subblock. So it is going to be follow the hierarchy. And one thing again, if you observe here, the spaces indentation from the if to statement 1, statement 2, statement 3, I have 4 spaces. But when I come to subblock nested if, I have 8 spaces. So this spaces is going to be differentiate. Statement 4 and statement 5 is a part of main condition or sub condition. Clear?
Yeah.
So as I told you, indentation will play a vital role. If so, I just given an input like input, enter the value of x. Based on the user input, I want to decide whether it is going to be greater than 4 or less than 4. That's all. And as I informed you, if the any number is a user input, that will be by default string. It will not treat as an integer, though that is an integer number entered by user. System cannot be understand that is an integer. So on top of input, I'm just going to be add one more function called integer. So whenever the user entered any number, system is going to be accepted by using an input function, and it is going to be converted as an integer and store it in a variable called x. When I use if condition, x is less than 4, then print x value is less than 4, else print x value is greater than 4. Clear?
Yeah.
Let me show you that one also. So the same syntaxes, and I'm ensuring that this block is going to be executed only when the true condition is satisfied, and this block has to be executed only when false condition is satisfied, nothing but else statement. That is the reason the spaces are available. Now enter some number 100. System is going to be returned whether it's greater than 4 or less than 4. Something like this.
Okay.
Let me know if I'm going fast.
No, I'm good.
Okay. The next example, what we can discuss, because all control statements, either if statement, if else, or for loop, or else if, based on the examples only you'll understand. So I just taken multiple examples. So program to check whether two numbers are equal or not. I want to check my first number is equal to second number, which is given by the user. So first number I'm collecting from the user, storing it to one variable. Second number also I'm collecting from the user and storing it to another variable. So you can see here, input, enter the value of x, enter the value of y, and both should be an integer. So I just applied a function called integer and store it in different variables x and y. How we are going to be compare both are equal or not means double equal. So if x double equal to y, then print numbers are equal, x and y are equal, else print numbers are not equal. Are you getting?
Yeah, Mark.
Similarly, the number what you entered is an even number or odd number. How you are going to be identified generally?
The number.
Modular divisor.
Sorry.
The number can be divided by 2, and yes, the check whether the number is an even number or not. So again, the number which is given by the user we need to be enter, we need to be select. So input of the user, and that should be an integer number I selected. So store it into x variable. So x divided by 2 is double equal to 0. So if the value which is given by the user can be divided by 2, and the outcome, the divide, the final division is going to be 0, then it's an even number. If I'm getting some number, that is an odd number. So modular division. So we used it. Similarly, nested if statement. So within the statement, within the if else statement, I want to maintain one more condition, then nested if will be there. So I want to see, you based on the user input between 3 different numbers, which one is the higher one. So x has one integer number, integer of input, x enter the value of x, and y also one of the integer number, and z also one of the integer number. You have any questions on these 3 syntaxes?
No, good.
So you have 3 x, y, and z. Now out of these 3 values which is given by the user, which one is the higher one? Whether x value or y value or z value, I don't know, because the user can enter any way and what on their wish. So I need to use the control statements to decide which one is the highest one. So first one is, I'm going to be compare between x and y. X is greater than y or not. So if x is greater than y, and again x is greater than z, one more condition, then print x is largest value.
Okay.
So the reason is x supposed to be greater the value than y and z. Am I right? So x is greater than y, and also if x is greater than z, then print x is the largest value. Are you getting on it?
Yeah.
Let me show you. So till now you're comfortable, right?
Yes.
Now I'm executing this. Enter some number for x. Some 10, 20, 5. So 20 is the largest value system is showing. But how system is comparing these values in the sense, first system is going to check the x value and comparing it with y value. So is x is greater than y or not? System is going to check. If yes, again system is going to take the x value and comparing with z value. Is x value is greater than z or not? If these two conditions satisfied, then system will return as x is highest value. Are you getting my point?
Yeah.
So in the same fashion, first condition is x is greater than y or not. If yes, again system is going to check x is greater than z or not. Then print x is the largest value.
Okay.
Are you getting?
Yeah.
Or is it confusing?
No, I'm good.
And if x value is greater than y value but less than z value, that means indirectly z is the highest value, right? So if x is greater than y value, but if statement is failed because x is less than z value, so z is the largest value. What if x is greater than y is a failed? That means indirectly I'm trying to say y is a greater value than x. So if that means this block will not be executed, this block will start.
Okay.
So my x is greater than y means 10 is not greater than 20. So my else block will start here. And again I'm going to check if y is greater than z, then print y value, else print z value. So this is the way you can write your logic.
Okay.
You simplify your work. Just think for 1 minute, you will come to know. Do not think about Python. Do not think about Python. What if I have 3 values? How
Yeah.
can I write it?
Mm-hmm.
Generally, what we'll do, we'll see first number is greater than second number, and first number is greater than third number or not.
Mm-hmm.
And again, in a second iteration, you'll check second number is greater than first number, or second number is greater than third number or not.
Mm-hmm.
You'll check in the same fashion, right? The same
Yeah.
thing I written here.
Okay.
Now, for your assignment purpose, what I'm expecting is, for today's assignment, I'm expecting 4 or 5 inputs.
Okay.
When the user give 5 inputs, system has to give which one is the highest number.
Okay.
Are you getting my point?
Yeah.
Here I take a nested if only for 2 levels, first level and second level. But when you go for 4 inputs, 4 numbers, then nested if will be increased to next level also.
Mm.
You have to check X with Y, X with Z, X with W.
Yeah.
And the same passion, else will be there and followed by else if will be there.
Mm-hmm.
Clear?
Yeah.
So that is your assignment, accepting 4 different inputs, 4 different values, and those 4 should be integer numbers, and compare between these 4 and give me a final outcome which is the highest one.
Okay.
Any questions?
Yeah, good.
And else if is nothing but when you have multiple iterations or conditions you want to be verified, you go with else if statement. Program already the change in time. For example, I'm getting some current time. I want to say whether I need to say good morning or good evening or good afternoon, or the conditions you want to be use it multiple times. So you can see here, if time is less than 12, the time what I enter is less than 12, then say good morning. The outcome is going to be good morning. If I enter the time less than or equal to 16, then the system is going to showcase as good afternoon. If the time is less than 20, system say good evening. If none of these conditions satisfied, system says good night.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing you need to understand is the conditions are top to bottom approach. In the sense, if my first condition is not satisfied, then only it will go to second condition. Amar, I enter 11. 11 is less than 12. First condition is satisfied. And 11 is less than or equal to 16. 11 is less than or equal to 20. So 3 conditions are satisfied generally when you see separately. But when you use else if statement, if my first condition is dissatisfied, nothing but false, then only my it will come to second condition. If my second condition is not satisfied, then only it will come to the third condition.
Mm-hmm.
Are you getting what my point?
Yeah, yeah.
So in other way, I can say that just for our logical layman terminology, time is less than or equal to 12 in the sense, and time is less than or equal to 16 in the sense. Indirectly, for the second one, we are expecting time is between 12 to 16 only.
Mm-hmm.
So that is the else if concept.
Mm.
Any questions?
Yeah, good.
So we'll drop for the day and we'll discuss tomorrow again.
Okay. I have a quick question, Amal.
Yes, please.
You posted that assignments, right? When I am doing and pasting the screenshot, it is creating 2 files.
Can you show me? I'll share you.
Yeah, I will share my screen. One second.